first time in the history of the class, the thunder of Pirelli World Challenge GTS machines will fill the air of the Pacific Northwest as the series descends on Portland International Raceway. It's time for the 58th annual Rose Cup races and the Grand Prix of Portland. Portland, Oregon is certainly an absolutely beautiful city, one of the best in North America, certainly in the Pacific Northwest, and within the city limits lies Portland International Raceway in Delta Park. It's been a long time since the Pirelli World Challenge has visited this venue, some 13 years, and never before has GTS machinery run here, and a huge field is about to attack this track. 33 cars strong. Hi, everybody. I'm Greg Creamer, joined by Calvin Fish. Ryan Marine will be covering all the action down in pit lane for us today. And it has been a pretty impressive return to this track, certainly a big learning curve for a lot of drivers. And as we take a look at our Porsche race analysis, Cal, it's just under 2 miles, 12 turns. Big story today is going to be heat and that learning curve.
Yeah, well, there's great anticipation returning to Portland again after many years, but with that, there's a lot of drivers that have never seen this racetrack before, and for the crews, the engineers, working on the cars, finding a setup that works. But we've had practice, we had qualifying, and a race under our belts now, so these race cars should be a little bit more tuned up for this race 2 activity, but with it comes the heat. There's a heat haze out there that will change everything in terms of the grip factor.
And, of course, we want to give you a good look at this track itself, and we've got one of the best in the business to do it, Cal.
Well, the great Dane Michael Christensen has been on a roll of late, many victories. He visits Portland for the first time.
This is
Let's
Michael
listen
Christensen driving the Porsche 911 GT3R for Allegro Motorsports here at Portland International Raceway, and this is your Porsche track preview. Coming down the long straightaway, coming up to turn 1 and 2, it's a slow chicane, hard braking at the 400. Coming in with quite some speed, trying to rotate as good as possible for the left-hander. Quite difficult to get on the power down the next small straight here. Coming up to a triple right-hander with some good flow. Just try to keep the minimum speed high as possible. Stay quite tight, that's where the grip is. Coming up to a next left-hander, it's really important to line up well for the exit. Even though it's quite wide in the exit, it still keeps turning, which is really difficult to go on the power. Next right-hander is really slow, but leads up to a really long back straight, so really important to get back on the power early. Now coming up to the last section, high speed coming into a fast chicane, left-hander braking at 300. Try to carry as much speed through as possible without disturbing the balance in the last corner. Braking right after, 2 gears down, and as early as possible on power again down the back straightaway. This was one lap with Michael Christensen at Portland International Raceway Porsche track preview.
And you know, as he was making the run on that into the festival curves, I wasn't sure if he said hard braking or heart braking, but at that place it's pretty much the same.
It can certainly be that way. We saw it yesterday be heartbreak for some of the competitors here. It's very tough as it funnels down through that second corner particularly. You've got to give each other a little bit of racing room.
And you can see this field lined up to go, 33 strong. 2 different classes, GTS Pro-Am and GTS Am, and they provided some unbelievable racing and lots of close quarters racing in the 7th round of the championship. That unfolded yesterday, and we are looking forward to more of the same, and you can see that heat haze starting to rise up from the track surface here, which is getting incredibly warm, already into the upper 80s here, and it's just going to keep on climbing as this race unfolds. That's not going to change, and they're going to have to be dealing with that.
They really do. They have to watch the heat soak during those pit stops, make sure that the engines don't go into that preservation mode with the high temperatures here today.
And obviously the grid established by fast laps in the first round of the weekend, that has already unfolded. So the stage is set for us to get this 8th round of the Pirelli World Challenge GTS Sprint X Championship underway. Let's get down to Ryan Marine for that special command.
And now, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Rafael Navarro from Pirelli Tire to give the command to start engines. On behalf of Pirelli Tire North America, drivers, start your engines.
All right, I love this sound. Such a variety of different engine notes as they come to life here in this big field. And it's going to be an awful lot of fun to call this race. It's going to be awfully uncomfortable, I think, going into the festival curves. It is such a challenge here, Cal, and that leads us nicely into our Pirelli storylines. And the first one is a potential 4 for 4 for Panos.
Amazing. Ian James took the sweep at Road America in that number 50 Panos Avezzano, and he and Matt Keegan got their first tags victory there yesterday. Going for 4 in a row. They are awfully tough to beat right now.
Yeah, it has been just impressive. And, of course, Harry Gottsacker ended up leading a lot of that race, but ended up once again the bridesmaid. Can he break that little bit of a jinx?
Well, we talked about turn 1 heartbreak. That's why Ian James made that move with just a couple of laps to go. The Sin has a lot of pace. Harry's done a great job, and he is learning fast.
Well, you know, the interesting thing for Harry, too, he's got great speed, but he's still new to this game, and he was up against an absolute master, Ian James. I asked Ian, I said, the previous attacks you made down into turn 1, were you showing everything you had on the brakes? And he went, no, I was trying to normalize him to think that was the best I could do. And that last time in, when he thought he had things covered, he said, I did have a bit left, and that's when I jinked to the inside. And that's just part of the racecraft, that when Harry gets that figured out, he's going to be something incredibly special. Our third storyline involves a car that has recently, or a team that has recently made a switch to a new car, Ryan.
Yes, that's right. Robinson Racing making the switch from the Mercedes-AMG GT3 to the Camaro, make that GT4, to the Camaro GT4. The problems yesterday for Shane Lewis. Their race ended very early with a mechanical issue. They thought it might be a differential issue because they had a similar issue in qualifying. Turns out it was something completely different. The good news is they did find it. The bad news is they've got a lot of work to do to come from the back of this grid today here in race number 2.
Yeah, and it just seems righteous when I remember calling his dad, Gar Robinson's dad, George, around this track in a Camaro in Trans Am back in the day. It just looks right, and we will see if they're able to make that charge through the pack when we come back to Portland International Raceway. All right, folks, glad to have you back with us here on a very busy day. Joining us here on our global webcast and on Sirius XM. Great to have you with us here. Just want to remind you, this race will air on CBS Sports Network with the enhanced coverage, the onboards and the like. That will be airing Wednesday, the 25th of July at 8 p.m. Eastern Time. Make a note of that, Wednesday, July 25th, 8 p.m. Eastern Time. And look forward to that. Again, as usual, the second day of an event weekend, we are going to be building our CBS Sports Network show. So there will be times when we're pausing and chatting with our director and producer and the like, but we'll try and get back with you here on the web and on Sirius XM whenever possible. When we can't, we'll try and ride that gnat sound, as they call it here, to give you some of the great car noise here as we watch the rest of the field starting their second of the 2 parade laps come.
Yeah, it's. I think everyone learned a bit of a lesson yesterday. Realized that there can just be big problems down in those festival curves for the opening couple of corners. So hopefully everyone will be on their toes, give each other a little bit more respect today, a little bit more racing room. I think that's the key today, is to just try and get through there cleanly and then go racing.
Yeah, they're such incredibly tight corners, and you've just got to get through that, then start doing your racing at this stage. And for Harry Gottsacker, if he can get out into the lead, you know, the guy does seem to be a sponge, this young 18-year-old. You know, he might make that little mistake or that misjudgment of racecraft, but he doesn't do it twice.
He doesn't, and I think looking at his last couple of races, he's been very much in the mix, going right down to the wire for his first win. But I think he's going to have to get a little bit more aggressive, a little bit more defensive to not be taken advantage of late in the going.
Quickly, before we come back to our CBS show, keep in mind, James Sofronis, GMG Racing, that team starts third, an opportunity to again gain some significant points. We'll be right back with CBS. Lights out on the safety car. We are ready to go racing for round 8 of the Pirelli World Challenge GTS Sprint X Championship as this big field of machinery works through the last few corners. Led to the green once again, his third pole position, second straight of the weekend for Harry Gottsacker in that red number 69 Racer's Edge Sin. but he's got a lot of anxious drivers right behind him, Cal.
He does, and I talked about him being a bit more aggressive. He almost hip-checked Ian James there before the green today.
All right, here we go. You can see James Safronis looking a little bit, trying to get antsy here as we're waiting for a late green. And there it flies. We are racing. Big move down to the inside by the
Cooper.
number 11. Yes.
Cooper, and look at Aschenbach. He's down inside of Safronis as well. Gottsacker takes the lead. James has to stack it up a little bit there, and Cooper's going to take advantage, as does Aschenbach. It's a drag race down to turn 4.
Boy, and this is a huge story for points, obviously. Everybody chasing Safronis, but both of those Camaros able to get in front of James and Safronis. That's huge, and a good start by Stephen McAleer, hanging right in that group in that BMW, the green and black machine.
Yeah, not the start that Ian James was looking for. He's got a lot of work to do right now, and Gottsacker's got the pressure off right now. He can hit his marks and just go for his lines, go for his times. But look at the two Black Dog speed shop Camaros. A lot of pace right there. They want more than they had yesterday, which is a 3rd and a 4th place finish.
Yeah, and they've been ultra aggressive. Certainly Aschenbach through that festival curve, got the job done there. And it looked like they just got, the Panos just got pinned a little bit to the inside, and that second one had absolutely no exit speed.
Well, I think Ian was aware, like, if you put your nose in there on the leader, you're just going to turn him around. So he kind of gave it up a little bit. Camaros just went around the outside and took advantage of it.
Onto the front straight, completing the first lap, and Safronis started in 3rd. He is going to be 6th at the end of this lap, so costly opening corner sequence for him.
Yeah, I think that's why he was getting antsy there, as we now see the number 10 car, Allegretta, there on the move early, looking to the inside of Whitmer. Oh, there's Piana there, looking to the inside in turn 2. That was tight.
Gabriel Piana is quick in that Miller Motorsports Porsche, and Whitmer, of course, in that ST BMW.
Big battle there between Preston Calvert and the number 3 car of James Clay, who had victory here yesterday in the AM division.
Yeah, that was a fabulous last 10 minutes, certainly for that Epic Motorsports car. Clay giving it a great run in stealing that victory. First, a look at the number 17. That's now Stephen McAleer for Classic BMW. Then Safronis in that blue and white Audi from GMG with the Thermal Club Tactical 511. There he comes, and has a comfortable lead in the points. So he's in one of those modes, how hard do you race right now, and risk. It's really a risk versus reward scenario for Safronis, I think.
It absolutely is, and they keep scoring big points for James. Is really helping him overall in the GTS Championships, but for the Sprint X division, he and Wells, they're really a great combination, great pairing, a lot of strength there. They just keep picking up the big points and taking advantage. Buford was their closest pursuer going into yesterday. His teammate Maxwell had an incident on the very opening corners of the race and really put them in a big hole for the day.
Boy, and a good attack coming right now from Patrick Gallagher in that number 40 Co-College PF Racing Mustang right behind Safronis. Gallagher, we know, is a great talent, no question about that, and he is putting some pressure on, which is exactly what everybody in front of Safronis wants to see, because that car's got speedo and a big spin. That should be Kevin O'Keefe in that Motorsports America machine, the Maserati, Cal.
Yeah, that car showed a lot of pace here yesterday, very racy indeed. So I'm not sure if he got turned there or just too aggressive on the power coming off that corner. Don't see any damage on the race car as we look at the rear diffuser there. See if he got nudged.
Well, maybe he just got that curb a little bit and it just snapped him around.
Here comes Ian James starting to close in on Aschenbach a little bit. Those Camaros come alive really quickly. Heavy race car, and certainly put a little bit more energy into the tires early in the going.
Look at James Clay in that white number 3. There's Preston Calvert. And right behind him is the number 78.
That's tight. Paul has to give it up there. Didn't have the best start for his weekend. I think he needs a new travel agent because he booked his ticket to Portland and ended up in Portland, Maine. That had to be quite the shock to the system when you give the cab driver, I want to go to this racetrack, so well, it's going to be an expensive cab ride, buddy.
Yeah,
you're on the wrong side of the country.
It's only a continent away, but no big deal. But he had himself a great opening lap, and that has earned him the Optima Batteries Best Start Award. So a nice job in that rubric. Claudian and McLaren Toronto Race Day Foundation entry from Compass Racing. And that car has recently starred in a movie, so it's been a pretty good run for the McLaren and Compass Racing.
Yes, Patrick Dempsey is producing, directing that Art of Racing in the Rain. Not sure what his role is exactly, but he's heavily involved with that, and that car has been featured so far. But great to see Preston Calvert there, holding off guys like Paul Holton, a McLaren factory driver, and Kyle Marcelli, one of the fastest GT drivers in this paddock. So he's doing an awesome job this weekend in the second Panos.
Yeah, he's absolutely doing a great job. Just the last bit on that Compass Racing car. Dempsey, I think, is producing, but what's exciting is Jeff Schwartz, who is a big racer in his own right, is the director. So, you know, now you've got somebody that knows the sport that's actually literally calling the shots, and that's going to be fun to watch as we look at Ian James as he settles into that fourth place. Again, these are 60-minute races, so you don't want to overcook things too much. And in this class, you don't do tire changes, so you've got to keep everything underneath you, and that is what this group is doing right now here at Portland International Raceway. Gottsacker, Cooper, and Aschenbach up front. All right, folks, got a bit of a layout here for us on our CBS Sports Network coverage, so we're going to hang with you for just a little bit. And watching, again, here's the Gottsacker Sin, but this battle, second, third, and fourth, the drivers on board these cars and the quality of the teams here, this is pretty spectacular stuff.
It really is, and spectacular lap times from Harry Gottsacker. Dips into the 17s early in this race, 1:17.831. Guys chasing him. Cooper has an 18.0 to his name, as does Aschenbach. How close are those two guys? They're 0.02 of a second apart on their fastest lap right now, with Ian James just a fraction of a second behind them. So Gottsacker has the pace. The key is going to be that pit stop, how they execute that, which they did a really nice job with yesterday. I was concerned when they pitted Gottsacker immediately that he would come out in traffic, but the way that plays out with the pit lane delta here of 72 seconds, it's almost the same as a lap, so it kind of puts you back in the same spot on the racetrack. And I think John Maraki was aware of that and made a nice call.
Yeah, it certainly worked for them. And you almost wonder if right now Gottsacker has said, you know, I just need to get a big lead. I don't want anybody close here. I don't need to be taught any more lessons. I want to go out and just win this thing. And he is giving it a good wheel. And as we said, the temperature is going to continue to climb as this race unfolds. We'll be into the 90s for sure, I think, by the end of the race. And that leads into the question about, you know, of the cars up near the sharp end of things here, assuming all the pit stops are executed, well, who's easiest on time?
Yeah, and I think the other factor is with this second race, typically you've got your fast guys starting. For Harry Gottsacker, he's the only guy. So there's going to be no driver change. He recognizes that the guys getting in the cars that are right behind him right now may not have the pace of a Michael Cooper, of a Lawson Aschenbach, of an Ian James. So that may make his task a little bit easier here today. Yeah,
that's a very good point. As you can see, Cooper, Aschenbach, and James right there, that trio have been able to ease away from Stephen McAleer in the classic BMW. That margin up to about 2.5 seconds last lap. And I'll tell you what, watching the number 40, James, okay, whoa, and a big off by the number 32. That is
Jensen.
Eric Jensen. That is being run by Milner Motorsports America this weekend.
Turn 7.
Are you okay?
That almost looks like it might be.
Onto the back straightaway.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Are you okay? Good, driver.
Hey,
okay.
that's good to see. He gave the thumbs up. You could hear the corner workers, the course marshals there, yelling at him, "Are you okay?" And he immediately flipped the visor up and gave him the thumbs up.
What do they want me to do?
So at this point, there's discussion right now. You can hear the corner workers on the radio to race control, or on the hard line to race control. They're trying to determine, can he get going? And apparently he has given the indication he can't. You can see some bits and pieces there, and we have gone full course caution. So the field is just going to get packed up at this stage. And the interesting thing, Cal, is way too early. They can't do the pit stop. They can pit, but then they're still going to have to come in for the mandatory stop. And so this is just going to be basically treated as just a normal caution here. So we get another look at what may happen. Something let go at the back of the car.
Yeah, there may have been contact, and suddenly he's got problems with the rear suspension and just lose control at really high speed. I thought that was coming off of turn 7. It's actually through that curving back straightaway, so the speed is really ramped up by that stage.
Yeah, whatever happened, obviously he just floated wide. He may have had some fluid coming down on the tire, and it just skated off.
I think maybe the rear suspension on the other side might be deranged a little bit, kind of steering itself versus the driver in control.
So he is still sitting there now waiting for the response vehicles to show up. There is the safety vehicle from the medical vehicle from Pirelli World Challenge will be on the scene, but also the track EVs. And I'm guessing from that hit, I just don't know that there's any way that that car might even be towable. They may have to get him up on a flatbed. That was a pretty substantial whack, and fortunately those tires were there. Here's the crew. Looking back here, just to update you on what's going on in the AM category, the number 3 of James Clay is hanging on to the lead in AM as Nikolai Elgahanian in the Marco Polo KTM Crossbow. Damage to that left rear, certainly a cut tire.
Yeah, well, I wonder if these two guys actually got together. They were kind of back in that kind of pack of racing. Maybe putting 2 and 2 together and coming up with 8, but it's quite possible. I think there was a rub there, and I think there was suspension damage on Jensen's Porsche.
Second in the AM category right now is the number 36 ST Racing entry of John Miller, 13th overall, just a couple of cars behind the number 3 of Clay. He'll be turning over to Aurora Strauss, and then Preston Calvert runs third in AM, continuing a good run of form as of late and showing some good pace in the 51 Panos.
Yeah, good news for Aurora Strauss. She comes into this round of the championship just 2 points behind Stavely, and there was Stavely 2 positions back of the position stayed as they are, which is unlikely with the amount of action we anticipate here to the checkered flag. It would give Aurora Strauss the lead in the points again tonight.
All right, well, as this cleanup continues, we're just about to come back with our CBS Sports Network show. We're going to lay out for just a sec. We'll be right back with you. Welcome back as the caution flies here at Portland International Raceway. Happened while we were in break, and you can see there is the number 32 Milner Motorsports America Porsche in the back of the frame off to the right. An issue on the run down that long, very fast back straight, Cal.
Well, you can see there he's pretty skewed sideways. I think there's some right rear corner damage to that race car. It's effectively steering itself. And Jensen goes for quite the ride there. Here you see it from a different camera angle. Big impact with the Armco barrier.
Yeah, it almost looked like either the tire or the wheel and suspension was broken and it was out, or the tire had been cut somehow and was coming off. But yeah, it just suddenly shot him off the track. Good news is he's fine. He's out of the car. The car is not drivable. And you see the Nikolai Elgahanian Crossbow, the white car right there, was in the pits with a cut left rear tire. So one wonders, we speculate a little bit about the potential of contact there. But while we're under caution, we want to go back. As always, these weekends are double header weekends, and we've alluded to a fairly intense race that unfolded here yesterday. A lot of it into that spot, the Festival of Curves, where an awful lot unfolded. Let's take a look at it from the start, Cal. It was an all-sin front row.
It was a sinful front row, and Gottsacker from the pole once again gets the jump, gets the lead, heading down into turn 1, but then the action starts to ramp up. Watch Scotty Maxwell there, tries to go around the outside of the 55 Mustang, pulls 6 nose into the inside, ultimately gets into Mark Pavin and turns him around.
And it was a long recovery as that entire field streamed by, and Pavin was able to drive away, but the problem was, as he did so, it revealed damage to the lower splitter on that Mustang. You can see it was loose. It came much looser as that race unfolded. Then a little bit later on, Pavin involved this time. It was with the number 62 McLaren of Clennon.
Clennon down to the inside, just got in there really deep. There's contact, major damage to Mark Clennon as he walks away.
Yeah, it's been a tough run for him as of late. He's at great speed, but bad luck. Pit stops, as you said, Harry Gottsacker running by himself, executed beautifully, got out in front. But then more action unfolding again in the Festival Curves.
Paul Alton here into the side there with Schmidt. Schmidt recovers briefly and then gets down into the next corner. Effectively takes out Whitmer in a big way.
Yeah, it was a pretty good clout. Both cars off, different directions on the track at that point. But the battle was on late in the race, and then Ian James able to make the move after setting Harry up just a little bit. Knifes to the inside. This was starting the last lap, Cal.
It was. A couple of laps to go, and Ian James takes it to the victory. John Maraki from Racer's Edge cannot believe what he's seeing.
Absolutely, and then the checker flag flies. Harry gave it everything he possibly could at the end, couldn't quite pull it out. There's the crew, elated. Co-driver Matt Keegan, who started that race off with an absolutely brilliant opening stint, happy as well. Nobody happy, maybe more than Tom Milner there.
Yeah, happy birthday, Matt Keegan. What a day to celebrate with Ian James as they take their third victory in a row for the Panos Group. The first Sprint X win for Matt Keegan and Ian James.
And Matt's enjoying this moment. As you said, it was not only his birthday, it was his son's birthday. So it was a great double celebration and then a win on top of it. And then, of course, in the AM category, James Clay had a brilliant run late in the race, bringing he and Eric Mueller the victory for the Epic Racing BMW. So some great racing throughout, a lot of rubbing, a lot of contact, and a lot of concerns here about getting through this one a little bit cleaner. And obviously, we come out of that highlight still in this caution for that incident with Darren Jorgensen.
Yeah, yesterday we had to see the pit lane opening window move a little bit because of a caution. Right now we've got 44 minutes to go in this race. The pit stop window opens at 35 minutes to go, so we'll have to wait and see how this cleanup takes place here and if they can get it cleaned up in time to go back to normal action.
Yeah, that's a good point. Pit window, 10-minute pit window. We haven't really talked about the procedures just in case somebody is just joining us. It's a 60-minute race. Was it 25 minutes in is when it opens.
By 25 minutes left in the race, you have to have your car in pit lane for a mandatory stop. The driver change is optional in the AM class. And then no tire change like GT cars we'll see later in the day. They have a mandatory 4 tire change. No tire changes unless you have a problem and a cut down tire or a damaged tire allowed during that pit stop. 72-second pit lane delta. Effectively, they give you 45 seconds to get the driver change done, plus the pit lane delta, which here brings it up to that 72-second mark.
All right, good news here. We're seeing that Mueller Motorsports America Porsche getting up onto the back of the tilt bed. So hopefully this cleanup will be concluded relatively quickly. We're going to step away for a moment, but we do want to remind you that you can follow all the news of the Pirelli World Challenge by downloading the new Fan app. Go to the Apple App Store or Google Play App Store and search for the PWC Fan app. You can also follow along, of course, on many other social media platforms. On Facebook, just search for PWC Championship. On Twitter, just have a look for @WC Racing. And on Instagram, you've got 2 opportunities, @PirelliWC or hashtag, I should say, Pirelli World Challenge. And of course, for all things Pirelli World Challenge, go online to the series website, world-challenge.com. And remember to always tune in to the races live on Sirius XM. Well, with you here on the web as we're in a break for the show. You can see the car starting to pick the pace up just a little bit. That's generally an indicator that they've been given some signal that within the next lap or two, we may be able to get back to green. Coming up on 40, well, just under now, 42 minutes remaining. So assuming this cleanup happens, we did see this in the race yesterday, Cal, where they did actually slip that pit window by 5 minutes, which they can certainly do if the caution runs up uncomfortably close to when that pit window would open. Interesting to see here just how quick they can get that car removed, and if that happens, we may be able to get back and maintain the original schedule for that.
Yeah, I think we're a little closer to the cleanup than we were yesterday, approaching that pit stop window, Greg, so hopefully we can maintain the normal order there. But certainly the series officials will try to do the best thing to give the correct communication process and information to all of the teams to plan accordingly. As we mentioned before, this is kind of the pros starting day 2. It's the AM, if you have a pro-am combination, the AM qualifies and starts race 1, then the pro takes over, then the pro starts race 2. So a little bit of strategy involved there, and I think for Harry Gottsager, the fact that, you know, he's not going to be doing a driver change. He's one of the guys who's going solo. He recognized all the cars stacked behind him, they should have a relatively slower driver getting in. So if he can maintain that track position, his task may be a little bit easier than it was at the finish yesterday.
Well, and the other thing, though, that might have a little bit of an adverse effect is assuming that sin might be a little easier on tires. this long caution now gives those heavier cars that might take a little bit more out of tire a little bit more of tire life, and it's going to be interesting to see how that all plays out.
Certainly a lot to think about here as we're just looking at the clock there. 40 minutes to go in this race, and again in 5 minutes time the pit window should open. No one can pit before that mark, but it does not necessarily have to be the leader. Last year we always want to give the leader the first opportunity. A little change in the rules this year. As soon as we hit that point on the clock, 35 minutes to go, anyone can pit, even if the leaders have passed the pit lane entry.
And again, this caution, the number 32 of Jensen, and as we said, he was immediately indicated he was fine and was out of the car, so that's the good news here. It's just unbelievable for Nikolai Elgahanian. Had that problem in the race early, was one of the very first to pit with some issue, and then gets caught up, we would think, maybe with a little touch, maybe with Jensen here, that affected his car as well. He's way at the back at this stage, and looking through the rest of the field, it's going to be interesting. The one surprise to me is the number 45 of Mike Hedlund. Had great speed early in the weekend, but has just had something not quite right at this stage and finds himself well back in the AM field.
Yeah, same thing happened yesterday.
Yeah.
Qualified up in the top 10, great qualifying run, and then in the early lap slipped back a little bit, then put a bit of a charge on. So not sure if he just got out-shuffled a little bit down into the festival curves on the opening lap.
It's been known to happen. It has.
Certainly has. The good news was we got through there relatively cleanly. But unfortunately for Jensen, a little bit of contact, and you can see that right rear. It's a skew, definitely. Hard to tell after a big impact what was caused first, but that tails away shot, I definitely thought that right rear was a little bit deranged, which caused him to lose control there.
Now we're getting word that anticipating this lap and then one more, the lap that they're working, and then one more, and we should be going back to green flag racing. We're going to keep an eye. It looks like that cleanup might be done, so well, lights are out. So we are going green this time, and we have not yet heard anything from race control about slipping that pit window. So it's going to get pretty furious down in pit lane. Ryan Marine's going to be a busy boy in just a minute. We're going to pause because we'll be coming back for CBS in just a minute. The safety vehicle is in. The green flag is coming out. We are back to racing here at Portland International Raceway. And Harry Gottsacker rolled into the throttle early in the acceleration zone, but Michael Cooper was waiting for him. He dives to the inside. They are side by side into the festival. Gottsacker gets it slowed down, but Cooper, an amazing move, Cal.
Amazing, amazing. He just dived down to the inside there and took the line away from him. Super aggressive move by one of the best in the business. Let's not forget he's already competed in TCR competition earlier today, had to adjust to this much bigger, heavier race car, and does it amazingly well.
Yeah, he certainly knew where there was some grip down there, didn't he? And one thing, you look at these Camaros, the big thundering V8 GT4 cars, they're known for their braking, and they just proved it.
They really did, but Harry Gottsacker just got to bide his time here. He recognizes that all of the pros are in the cars right now, so if he just stay tight to the leader right now, maintain that track position, the guys who are jumping in these race cars, he gets a run down the back straight away. Michael Cooper gives him the right-hand lane. He's not going to be able to go anywhere with it, I don't think. Cooper's going to take it in super deep and takes the position back.
Yeah, and that was smart. That was good racecraft by Harry. He realized if I force the issue here, there could be contact. I've got, as you said, a good shot at this, knowing what's going to come. Didn't fight it too hard, but let Cooper know he's not going to make it easy.
Now the Sin picks up the draft down this front straightaway. Cooper immediately goes to the right-hand side of the road. He's certainly entitled to do that. That'll severely compromise his line down into the festival curves as he moves back to the middle of the road a little bit. Really everyone compacting right behind this lead group.
And in less than a minute now, that pit window is going to open.
Could be next time by, I think.
Exactly.
When these leaders get around to pit entry, it'll be really tight. If it is not at that 35-minute mark.
Into turn number 5, that whole complex, 4A5, it just keeps tightening up.
Yeah, Cooper there losing the rear end a little bit, sliding the car there through turn 5.
Floats
Now
it
he's
wide.
just got to think about it, Greg. He does
Yep.
not want to get into any contact right now. Just sit still, wait for the opportunity to pit. I'd anticipate everyone around Harry Gottsack is going to stay out there towards the end of this pit stop window. And as the leaders come down this back stretch, we will hit. Right now, we should have pits open.
And Harry once again got a great run out of turn number 7 as Cooper defended a bit going in. And again, Harry just said, I'm just going to stay put here. And as you said,
Gottsack slows.
Is he heading
Aschenbach
in?
almost in at the back of him. Same strategy as yesterday, pitting early. This takes away, if there's any caution during this pit stop window, taking away any of that strategy play. And again, he should come out maybe about 5-6 seconds behind these leaders, or stay out, I feel, for a little bit longer, and then just wait for that pit stop cycle. Again, there'll be no tire change here, no driver change. Effectively, the car should just sit still for 45 seconds and then take off.
And Ryan Marine, one thing they have to do here is time this to perfection.
They do. We've seen that be an issue for this team earlier in the season, I think, going back to race 1 at Circuit of the Americas. But it's been better since then, and certainly Harry Gottsacker has done everything he's needed to do from behind the wheel. A quick look around the car, checking tire pressures on this vehicle. A few other takers on pit lane as well, including one of the championship protagonists, as Jade Buford has come in. He's going to turn that Mustang for PF Racing over to Scott Maxwell and head back on out here shortly. They were running just outside of the top 10, but I think it's going to be busier a little bit later as these teams play the strategy card.
Yeah, very good point. And it's a lot of times, Cal, it's all a matter of you'll try and figure out where will we come out, as you said, for Harry, and a lot of these guys ducking in. And you could see on Maxwell's car now that white nose indicative of that contact from yesterday.
Yeah, 74-second stop there for Harry Gottsacker, so they left a couple of seconds on the board, and he'll be just in front of the leaders there, so he stays on the lead lap, really close there between Michael Cooper and I think it was Preston Calvert coming out of pit lane.
Yep, that was exactly right. Preston Calvert got down there, and Cooper was knifing in.
So again, they just had about a handful of second window there to stay on that lead lap, but was super tight. So their job is done right now. Left a couple of seconds on the table there, and now it's just head down, hopefully not encounter any traffic right now, and lay down the lap times.
Well, and as you said, traffic, keyword, none in front of him at this stage. He's got a nice clear piece of racetrack. Just get back into rhythm and start setting sail. And the one thing will be now, again, it isn't a tire change. How much temperature will those tires lose as they're just sitting in pit lane? Nowhere near as much as if they did a change.
Yeah, within a couple of corners, really, you should be back up to the sweet spot in terms of temperatures and pressures. Look at that Aschenbach diving down to the inside of Ian James, was it?
Yep.
Look, they were side by side there, potentially coming down the backstretch. Two Painless is in the picture right now as Preston Calvert having made that pit stop just ahead. He's got great pace here this weekend. Really great weekend for Preston.
You can see James Frona's back in the order a little bit in the battle for 6. Moving over to defend as Whitmer showed that he might be making some sort of a move. As we watch Harry Gottsacker right now putting together a great run. I was just looking up at the scoring monitor, and sitting in 5th is Patrick Gallagher, who's doing a nice job in that number 40 Co-College PF Racing Mustang. As you can see right now, young Harry has absolutely nobody in front of him.
I think that's the strategy. With the stack up with the yellow, effectively it just got him ahead of the lead pack. He didn't have the lead when he hit pit lane. It's got him in front of those leaders, stayed on the lead lap. So it's just the sequencing of the lap time here, being in that 79-second range, 72-second pit lane delta. You should, if you get a good pit stop done, keep on that lead lap, which is critical.
Well, this battle continues to be fierce as Ian James working over Lawson Aschenbach in the Panos on that Camaro. McAleer right behind him, heading into this fast sequence of quick left, right, and into turn 12.
This looks like cut and paste from many races we've seen over the last 12 months, isn't it? Ian James and Lawson Aschenbach battling out for position. Many times it's for the win. Will it be for the win here today?
the margin that Cooper has opened up. He is absolutely flying right now, Cal.
He's got the hammer down. Team McAleer there, deep on the brakes. Keeps that position from Gallagher.
And he moved over just to dissuade Patrick from trying anything down to the inside. Gallagher, great run, though, out of the festival curves. Thought he might tuck to the inside.
It's just not enough run from the festival curves down to turn 4 to really make that move stick, unless someone has a real problem, lose a ton of time with the power down. Exit speed from turn 3.
Here's that tricky little turn 6 leading in to turn 7, and again Gallagher showing the nose.
I like the profile of this corner because it's really nip and tuck as we see McAleer just drop a wheel a little bit. Gallagher's got the run. I think he's got the position.
It worked, didn't it? He showed him the nose and got McAleer maybe just a smidge off his rhythm, runs wide, and he's through.
Yeah, it's just one of those corners to run the ideal line, as we keep saying here this weekend. It just opens up the door, and if you compromise it, you lose exit speed. The vulnerable coming off.
Yep, there's a number of drivers who said over the years, if I really can't pass them, I'm sure going to mess with them. As James ducks in.
We turn it over to Matt Keegan. As all this cycles through, should see that red sin start to climb back up the order. The number 69 car of Harry Gottsacker is the fastest lap of the race, still at 1:17.831. Not as important for race 2 as it is in race 1, where it gives you a bonus point and the pole position, obviously, for race 2.
And we did see Matt Keegan drive a great opening stint yesterday. And so, but right now, Harry, boy, they played this to perfection in terms of avoiding traffic. He's just got free range. James is in the pits and Ryan is there.
Yes, Ian James has already climbed out of that race car. Matt Keegan, the birthday boy yesterday, strapped in now. What a great day it was, and what a run this has been for the Panos Racing team. 3 consecutive wins for Ian James, and then adding with Keegan yesterday in this Sprint X format. So some real momentum behind this program. It's a real shame they got off to such a slow start to the season, but racking up the race wins much as they did a year ago.
Yeah, exactly. That's a very good point. Here comes Gottsacker, and he's going to clear Keegan.
73.6 pit stop time for Ian James, the transition over to Matt Keegan. So they left about 1.5 seconds on the table. I think ideally you want to be about 1 second or less than, as not cutting it too close, but not giving too much away.
And Gottsacker's stop was 74 seconds, but obviously on that clear track, he was able to put some laps in and played that one out beautifully.
Key is going to be Michael Cooper, turning it over to Tony Gaples. Will it give Gaples the lead? He certainly has some hot laps going, as did this man, so it's going to be very tight. I think if the 11 team can make their pit stop delta a little bit tighter towards that 72-second mark, that might give Tony the lead of this race.
And Aschenbach is in, Ryan. All right, as I said, Lawson Aschenbach in, and he is actually turning that car over. This is one of those unique things in the FIA driver ratings here. He's a former GT champion in the Pirelli World Challenge, but he's hit that magic 50 years of age mark and gets rated as an AM, and Andy Pilgrim launches and heads out back onto the track. Look at this. No, again.
What a stop for the number 1 squad. 72.337. That's cutting it tight.
But it worked, didn't it? It got him in front of Keegan.
It does. But behind Gottsacker, the real key is going to be that number 11 car. Tony Gaples is going to be taking over the reins of that machine. If they do a similar pit stop for Michael Cooper, we could see Gaples in the lead momentarily.
Black Dog Camaro coming back up to speed. Right now, Stephen McAleer sits second. He has not pitted yet in the classic BMW.
Time is running out, though.
Yes, it is.
Got to think that Cooper's going to be in this lap.
And this is risky, isn't it? Because you get to that point, you've talked about it many times, any kind of a bobble on the track.
You could spin. If you're cutting it within a few seconds and traffic takes you out, or anything happens to the race car, and you suffer a drive-through penalty, which is going to cost you 27 seconds or close to it.
So watch here for Cooper to duck in.
Got to come in this time. He does. He slows. They're cutting this to perfection.
Yeah.
If they can perfect the pit stop as well, Tony Gables could be very close to the lead.
Yeah, if they can match what they did on the one car, he should be there. Absolutely.
What a drive from Michael Cooper.
Brilliant.
Great pass on Harry Gottsacker on that restart, then just took off and gapped his teammate.
Every time you watch Michael Cooper, all he does is just improve on his CV. Here we go. Change is afoot, Ryan.
Massive opening stint from Michael Cooper. Ray Sorensen calling the strategy for Black Dog Speed Shop. Maximizing the stint for Michael, keeping him out there while he was running good laps. Tony Gables getting in now. You mentioned the solid pit stop for the number 1 car, and that's true, although this team, Black Dog, very disappointed because they were blocked on their way into the pit stop, and they're concerned they may have lost some time as a result. Another competitor parked in their way. But as it stands, a really impressive performance thus far for Black Dog Speed Shop. These Camaros running towards the front, and now Tony Gables about to see what he can do. One of the few drivers in this field, guys, who's actually raced on this track before. It's been quite a while for World Challenge since their last event here.
Yeah, it is indeed. We'll see what the stop does. If they pull this off, it would be the overcut. I'm not sure if they're going to do it. Yeah. Oh, boy.
Wow, 76, and there you see they lost 4 seconds there, and that would have given him the track position on Harry Gottsacker.
Looked like something hung up in that driver change, didn't it? So, there you go. Gables out. Still, he is in the second spot, but Gottsacker was able to make that work, and again, having all that clean track, got him into a lead that he now just needs to maintain to the finish, but he's caught some traffic as well. Right now, Gottsacker out front in the overall category, and it is Mueller in the number 3 Epic BMW leading in the AM class. All right, in a bit of a break for our CBS Sports Network show, so we will hang with you here. And that was just unfortunate, obviously, something going slightly awry in that pit stop. But you've got to be impressed right now with the strategy call won by John Meraki and that Racer's Edge team. But look at the margin. Gottsacker over Gables, and then Keegan. That's some big chunks of real estate he's got in hand right now.
Yeah, he really does. And as we mentioned before, the pros, the fast guys are out now, so for Harry Gottsacker, could this be the day where he gets his first GTS victory? He's certainly in a prime position.
He drove just a great race yesterday, just got schooled a little bit at the end, and he would certainly love to get that monkey off his back. He's certainly got great speed, and you know that he has John Meraki in his ear, just coaching him along right now, telling him about the opportunity. And at this point, it's really, he's still got fairly clear track. It's just click off the laps, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, he's just found really good track positioning. That reset, that caution really helped him out. Otherwise, he'd be dealing with a lot more traffic. Where everyone reset, the whole field was compacted once again, and thus made his task a little bit easier, not to take anything away from the job that he's doing.
Sitting in the 4th spot right now is Andy Pilgrim. Ooh, somebody having a bit of an off.
Oh, second here.
That's the 113.
Strom, I believe, should be behind the wheel now. Had an awesome opening stint here yesterday. Took the lead by extending his pit stop. Then there was the pit stop got extended too far. There was a radio communication issue, and they missed the pit stop window. Caused them to drive through, but
yeah, I was talking to him at the end of the day yesterday, and he said they knew they had the radio problem, and when the crew came to the wall and they had a big sign said pit next lap. He had a Porsche on the inside of him, and they were banging on each other a little bit. And he said, so I was focused on that, completely missed it. That's the slings and arrows of racing fortune. And I don't think that number 113 entry of the classic BMW machine of Strom is movable. He hit. You could see him engage a gear, and as he went for it, it just looked like something in the back end had locked up, and he just stopped. So, of course, a caution right now would negate an awful lot of this big margin.
Well, They say that first win never comes easy.
And there's the caution, double cautions fly, Cal.
Wow.
And of course, that's going to bring Gaples, Keegan, Pilgrim, Maxwell right on to the deck of this red Sin, the Racer's Edge machine.
Yeah, the key is he's got great pace, so
Yes.
this is not ideal. It's going to erase the gap that he built up over the field with all of the pit stops haven't been completed. But nonetheless, he should be fine.
And it's got to be nice to have John Meraki on the headset. He's been in this game for so long, and you know, he can just coach a little bit and say, don't let this get to you.
Right.
You've got the pace. You know it. Just as soon as we go green, go back to what you were doing. Here's right behind him is the number 70. They're down just a little bit, but just wanted to give them a little bit of a shout out. That's an entry from Reardon Racing, who has been absolutely lit in the touring car class this weekend. Edward Nakato and Scott Peterson, both Portland, Oregon residents, and nice to have them with us in their AR Auto Service and P1 Group Porsche. And again, down lap at this stage, but as they're dipping their toe in the water here, doing a very nice job. Right now, in the AM category, it is the 3 of Mueller, the 51 of Calvert, and the 12 of Stavely. 9th, 10th, and 11th overall, 1, 2, 3 in AM. We're going to pause. We'll be back with our CBS Sports coverage in just a second. Welcome back, everybody. Once again, while we were in break, we had an incident unfold. And you can see behind that safety 2 vehicle from Portland International Raceway is one of the Porsches in the field. Watch what happened here, Cal.
Yeah, just really close there between an Audi and the number 113 of Strom, and then contact. He got out in the grass, couldn't get it back together as it kind of continues to turn there. So unfortunate for a car that's been very strong here this weekend. Had the lead right before the pit stop cycle yesterday, as now he climbs out.
Yeah, got into the tires, and it was apparently hard enough that something broke at the back of the car with the contact. And so we are under caution, and of course that is going to compress the front end of this field, Cal. And Harry Gottsacker, who had a sizable margin, back to Tony Gaples, who had a nice gap to Keegan, and on it went. That all evaporates, and there's one lapped car now between Harry and Tony Gaples, Matt Keegan, and Andy Pilgrim and Scott Maxwell. So there's some pretty stout talent that is going to be close on Harry's rear wing here when we go back to green. But of course, one of the issues we watched was the potential for Tony Gaples to come out and execute the overcut perfectly and get the lead. Problem during the pit stop after a great opening run by Mr. Cooper, man.
Yep, that's right. Michael Cooper joining me now. Impressive opening stint. Lost a little bit of ground there in the pits. Do you know what happened that had you fall back just a bit relative to Harry?
Yeah, we just had a little snafu on the driver change. We got to do a lot to get Tony in the car. He's about 6 inches shorter than I am, so I gotta loosen the belts a lot. He's got to stick a pad in there. There's a lot going on, so it just took us a couple extra seconds more than normal. But he's up there in second right now. That Sin's pretty fast, so I don't know if even if we got him out right ahead of him, if he could have held him off. But yeah, this Team Chevy Camaro Black Dog Speed Shop is running like a freight train this weekend.
Well, on the bright side, you know he's got a fast race car. You made that pass already. How hooked up was that Camaro for you? Because once you got to the lead, you pulled away.
You know, it's pretty warm here at Portland International Raceway this weekend, and a lot of people are sliding around. And typically when that happens, I seem to rise to the top and shine a little bit. I'm able to be really smooth and keep my tires under me, and it makes it seem like the car's really hooked up. But it's just me and the car being in good sync.
It is pretty warm out here, but Michael still looks cool as a cucumber, even though this is the second race he's run today, guys.
Yeah, and certainly that little bit of previous track knowledge from the TCR run wouldn't have hurt him either. So thanks very much, Ryan. And, yeah, I mean, that pass he executed was just knife-edge precision.
Well, the other thing when you think about Michael Cooper, one of the best in the business, had the Cadillac ride last year. The Cadillac program is no longer running in our championship, but Michael had a ride. That went away early this season. He's been on the sidelines, and that just makes you super hungry. And he is going to pounce when he sees that opportunity, just like he did for the lead in this motor race.
Yeah, and he executed it beautifully. Now Tony Gaples, one of the most experienced drivers in this field. You can see there's been some close quarters racing there. A little bit of a donut on the side of the car. And Tony, one of the few guys that was racing here when the Pirelli World Challenge ran here back in 04 and 05.
Running about 17 back then.
Exactly. Running a GT car, big Corvette at that time.
Any little bit of track knowledge is important when you return to a venue after so many years hiatus. And Tony's been really on top of his game this year. Went on a big fitness regime over the last year or so. Has lost about 30 pounds, taking his game very seriously. And he will be certainly up to the challenge here. And Matt Keegan's going to go after him. Coming off that victory yesterday, a lot of confidence there. Andy Pilgrim sits in the 4th position. So much experience in this field at the front end right now. Scotty Maxwell didn't have the best of days yesterday, but sits there in the 5th position for PF Racing in that Ford Mustang GT4.
Yeah, and in this huge field of GTS Sprint X machinery that's been there all season long, Tony and Michael, well placed into the top 10. And when you take a look at what Tony's been doing in the GTS Sprint category of racing, right in that AM hunt as well. So they now have the vehicle just hooked up, and there's a cutout back there, and I think they're just going to try and get him to tuck and be able to get going again. Yeah, right where those workers are. If they can get that car pulled straight back in there, we'll be able to get back to racing here in relatively short order. And obviously, time is ticking away. We're under 15 minutes remaining in this race.
Gottsack has been through this procedure already, so he'll certainly be aware that there are cars that are very strong into that brake zone for the festival curve. So I think he's going to really try and key on Gap and Gaples off that final corner there and taking the pressure off, and maybe Keegan put pressure on Gaples. Well, Harry just to hit his marks here on this opening lap after the restart.
Well, Ryan, you're down there with the crew. Is that what they're going to do?
Well, we'll find out. John Maraki, first of all, what do you do here on this restart? You got a bunch of hungry guys behind you, but a hungry driver behind the wheel, and Harry as well.
Absolutely. And we talked to Harry. I mean, he's young, but we've been coaching him, and he really catches on quick. We've been talking to him about the restarts, and we have a strategy for that. So we're confident he'll execute, and we'll maintain the lead.
It is a hot day, and you're in a fairly unique position where your driver has to run both of these stints. Most cars are split between 2 drivers, so what does Harry have to do to make sure he's fit to go the full distance?
Well, fortunately, the Sin being mid-engine, the heat source is in the back, so it's actually a pretty cool car inside. The cockpit temperatures aren't too bad. So an hour race in that car is not really a problem. Harry's young and he's fit, so I don't really see that as an issue for us.
He's awfully motivated as well to get that win.
Absolutely. He's especially motivated after yesterday's near miss.
We'll let you get back to work. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
And thank you, Ryan. Yeah, and that's a good point. When you're 18, heat's not that huge a deal.
No, there's a very important factor that John Maraki brought up there in terms of any front engine car, like those Mustangs and other race cars in this field. You get a lot of heat soak. And it's not just the cockpit temperature, but it bakes everything. It comes up through that firewall in front of the driver, up through the pedals. Your feet are hot. Everything is uncomfortable. For Harry Gottsacker, he's not having to deal with that.
And now, though, he's got to deal with a green flag, and the car's behind. And obviously, right now, Gaples is going to be a little frustrated. That number 70 didn't go with Harry at this point. That's created a gap. Beautiful as the green flag comes out. It's exactly what Harry Gottsacker wanted to have happen.
Yeah, and for Tony Gaples, he had to be careful. Even though it's lap traffic, he could not pass until the green flag was out.
Exactly.
He dealt with it very nicely. Keegan close to him. But a great gap there for our leader, Harry Gottsacker.
Through the festival curves, watching that next number 1 Camaro to see if he's able to sneak through. Gets down to the inside of the Porsche. That is Andy Pilgrim and Scott Maxwell. And I would say those are 2 cars we want to be keeping a close eye on here as this race continues.
This will be a great battle right now. Scott Maxwell wants a little bit of redemption after a bit of an ugly day yesterday, where he certainly got in the wars that started on the second corner of the motor race. Didn't get any better from there. He and his teammate Jake Buford also got into trouble later in the going.
There they go, out of turn 7 and onto this long, winding backstretch. And you can see that group has already gapped the rest of the field. Justin Raphael in the number 17 Classic BMW in 6th is under attack right there, as you can see, from Alex Welch in the Global Motorsports Group car.
Euler there on the attack, though, on Welch. Even though he has the lead in the AM class right now, he wants that track position around that Audi. Raphael ducking a pit lane. This is unscheduled for the number 17 machine.
Absolutely. They have had a pit stop.
Oh, pit stop infraction. There's a drive-through.
Okay, and the number 38 of Whitmer joining him. So, yep, there it is. Pit stop infractions. Not exactly sure what it might be. You would guess maybe a short pit stop.
No, they were 74 seconds. They should have been good there.
Well, then it's
Something
generally
else.
speeding in pit lane would be the next thing you would default to in our purely speculative process. Let's
Yeah,
point that
that's
out.
ironic, right? You took too long on pit lane, but you sped.
All right, and you can see Keegan really starting to heap some pressure on the back of the number 11 Black Dog Camaro of Gables.
tight.
Yep.
Well, Maxwell there poking his nose down to the inside in turn 7 on Andy Pilgrim.
There's a look at that leader in the AM category, the number 3 Epic BMW.
For the sweep. James Clay, great run late in the going yesterday and grabbed that win.
And that's the Patriot Lending Redline Oil. And for this event, Bimmer World on the side of the car, as you would expect with James Clay behind the wheel. And boy, I'll tell you, he is attacking right now in Welch.
He has to, because look right behind him. Preston Calver is having his performance of the season, I think, right now, sitting in the second position in class. There he is.
Yep.
So the gap is only a second and a half last time across the stripe. So as you see there, Mueller looks to the inside once again on Alex Welch down into the brake zone.
Yeah, and Preston is fending off. Oh, and here's the move. He gets that pass done. Again, not a position in terms of in class, but overall, which is not great news for Welch, because when you're running in the top category in these mixed class events, you get scored on the overall finishing position. So that's not what he wanted to see. But I was going to say for Preston, keep in mind yesterday he had a couple of spins in that race. It wasn't. He has just absolutely calmed himself down and is in this game and having a great run and out dueling right now Drew Stavely, who's had an overall win this year.
Yeah, pretty great run for Preston. His fastest lap time is a 1:19.0 compared to 1:17.9 in the 50 car that was laid down by Ian James. So to be within a second or so, one of the top pros in the business is very, very strong.
Oh, and look at this. Keegan has gone through on Gables. Open a problem for the number 13 of Ori Fidani. That's the Pfaff Porsche. Damage to the front end of that car.
And I don't think both front wheels are turning at the same rate either.
Yeah. Certainly not the same angles, unfortunately. So it took a while, but Keegan was able to sneak around Gables, so that's a change in position. Then Pilgrim and Maxwell. See Maxwell back there. He's quite a ways back. I don't think even a guy like Maxwell thinks he's going to unseat the mindset of Andy Pilgrim. I wonder if he maybe just was trying to clean his tires a little bit. But this battle is starting to get real close.
Tony's done a really nice job here. Admittedly, he's lost that track position right now to Matt Keegan in the Panos, but nonetheless, to be running at similar lap times to Andy Pilgrim, who has so much experience in race victories, titles behind his name.
Absolutely. And just a report, on our headsets open, a bit of argy-bargy here, the 36 of Aurora Strauss and the 19. And that, I believe, is Jeff Burton. And a little contact in and off, but both are able to continue. And just was going to say that Ryan, just in our headsets, gave us an update that Mike Hedlund had pitted, thinking he had a cut tire. Not the case. Here's what happened here, Cal. Oh, there, yep.
Yeah, just the 26 car got inside of Burton, turned him around. I think Burton may have been the Audi that we saw in the picture with Strom a few laps ago that caused the caution. Lots of action down at that end of the racetrack.
Yeah, it looked like Burton got out way wide there and then came back down and didn't simply realize that Aurora was there. So, well, this action is heating up, so we're going to step away for just a moment, but we will be right back and take you to the checkered flag here in Portland. Those of you with us here on the web and SiriusXM, this is a very quick layout. We'll be right back. Welcome back as the action behind our overall leader, Harry Gottsacker, is heating up just a little bit. Matt Keegan doing a superb job sitting in that second spot in the number 50 Pano, started by Ian James, has opened up a margin of almost 2 seconds, but behind him, Gaples, Pilgrim, and Maxwell are at it, and you'll note now it is the 55 of Maxwell through on Pilgrim, and there was a pretty good and aggressive move by Maxwell into turn 7 with a little tap on the exit.
Yeah, it's just one of those corners that provides that opportunity to be aggressive there, and Scotty Maxwell filled the hole. Andy had a similar issue yesterday and had contact with the car, but watch this. Maxwell down to the inside, very close here, right at the apex area. There might have been a little brush, but nonetheless, Pilgrim slow off the corner, and Maxwell is through.
Yeah, it wasn't a hard hit by any means, but it did just alter the momentum of Pilgrim, and that has allowed Maxwell through. There you can see the Ori Fidani FAF Porsche been deemed in a safe enough place to let him go right now. And again, same move here.
Cut and paste on the second of the Black Dog Speed Shop Camaros. Can Tony Gaples out-accelerate that Mustang down the backstretch?
When Gaples was a little more patient, waited to turn in, and as a result got a pretty good run. It's a drag race side by each down the back straight here. I threw that in for Scott Maxwell.
Who's going to outbrave who here? Tony Gaples to the inside. Brilliant job there. Takes the position back and maintains the line. Now he opens up the door a little bit. Scotty Maxwell thinks about filling it. Great job by Tony keeping that position.
Under 5 minutes to go, onto the front straight. Gaples hanging on to third. Maxwell in the 55 TF Racing Mustang in fourth. Takes a look down to the inside. It's a braking duel down into the festival. And Tony has just been brilliant on the brakes. Certainly the Camaro's known for that, but Tony is extracting everything out of that car right now.
Beautiful job there. Didn't defend, didn't take the inside, the shallow line. Good exit speed there, but Maxwell now forces to the inside. This is going to be tight. Tony gives him a lane. Great racing here. Great respect between these two guys.
Into turn number 5, tightening up just a little bit. Now, Tony knows what Maxwell did to him last time. What's he going to do heading into 7? He stays way wide. Now swings out.
Tries to come back at him. Maxwell doesn't give him the lane, though, to out-accelerate him this time. Nice move by Scotty Maxwell. I thought Tony may have defended a little bit, and now his teammate gets a run on him, Andy Pilgrim.
And Pilgrim to the inside as they head down to those high-speed S's. Tony, though, I don't think he's going to make it easy. Does not. Goes in nice and deep, shuts the door.
That's a lot of great driving there by Tony Gaples in terms of keeping the position, one time from the inside, one time from the outside on the approach, that very fast turn 10. And then just keeping the car under control. It's so easy to rush in there. Yeah, I kept the position, but I threw it all away. He didn't do that. Great driving.
And then his line through the festival curves, that last lap, is absolutely superb. Floated immense speed through there. And right now continues to hold off the 2005 GT champion in Pirelli World Challenge. Up front, though, you can see Gottsacker and Keegan, with all of this great racing, have been able to just ease away as we are into our final 2.5 minutes. Gottsacker's margin right now, folks, 6.7 seconds. Last time through, it's still Mueller up to 6th overall, Cal, leading in the AM class in the number 3 Epic Motorsports Porsche. BMW, excuse me. Calvert still sitting second.
He's doing a great job, and Stavely there not far behind in the 3rd position, who's our current AM championship leader.
There is Harry Gottsacker. That's the margin he has back to Keegan, and there you see Scott Maxwell. So Keegan has driven, as he did yesterday, to open the 7th round of the championship. A superb drive hit here in the 8th round. There is the AM leader in that BMW, as I mentioned. The Epic, eventually mentioned in the Epic Motorsports machine. But Alex Welch is finding speed again, isn't he?
He is, and but more importantly, look right behind there. Calvert, he's doing an awesome job. Can he keep Stavely at bay here? Will probably be another couple of laps until we see the checkered flag this afternoon. I think it's Aurora Strauss's car we see now heading back to the paddock there in the background. Unfortunate for her, who came into this race just 2 points out of the championship lead.
Yeah, that would be a huge hit. And Calvert, in this weekend, he actually led one of the practice sessions overall for much of the session, ended up 3rd. So this track just seems to suit him, and he seems pretty comfortable in this Pano Savazano GT, as does Matt Keegan. Wow.
He didn't suddenly go from turn 5 to turn 7 that quickly.
Exactly.
Different car.
Yeah, that's transporting your way around the track here. Anticipating a white flag this time by for the 69 Racer's Edge sin of young 18-year-old Harry Gottsacker.
Hasn't put a foot wrong.
No, he hasn't.
Certainly Michael Cooper made that bold move down to the inside on that restart to take the lead from Harry, but they immediately pitted him when the pit stop window opened. Perfect execution with 1 lap to go.
And Harry had good momentum, obviously. He had 2 podiums at the most recent sprint round at Road America to go along with the second place from pole at Circuit of the Americas. So he's tasted it before, but he's never been able to sip that victory champagne. It's been sprayed on him. He wants to have his own bottle that he actually probably isn't old enough to drink.
That's right. Give it to the crew.
That's right. All right, here we go. Exit at 5, into 6. With nobody around him, he can just absolutely keep that arc nice and open, feet at throttle. Here's the margin to Keegan, that's second.
Both these cars have been so hooked up here this weekend. Even on these longer green flag runs, you don't see the cars squirming around. Pirelli P0's working magnificently. Now we see Gaples under pressure again from his teammate Andy Pirro. Look at that move. Wow, that's for the lead. That is for the lead. That is 1, 2, 3 in the AM class. Calvert to the front.
And Stavely trying to take a run at the Epic BMW for second. What a race by Preston Calvert. Alex Welch right there, 7th overall, 6th in the Pro-Am class. But it is Sin in victory lane. And John Meraki and the crew celebrating here in Portland. Harry Gottsacker, a bridesmaid no more. He will step on top of the podium. Here's the battle for the win in the M category. Preston Calvert, a last lap heroic pass and makes it stick and gets the win, Cal.
Fantastic. What a motor race. Congratulations, Preston. And everyone there will stand on the podium. That's some awesome racing today.
Unbelievable for Preston. A first-class win in GTS competition. He won a couple of GT Sprint X races back in the year when it was being tested. But what a drive he put on. Harry Gottsacker with a win. Overall, Calvert with the win in GTS. And we will hear from them when we come back to the Rose Festival. Well, folks, thanks for staying with us here on our web stream and on SiriusXM. And what a race you got to see here. And even as things calm down a little bit, obviously, in the GTS Pro-Am battle here, it got absolutely fierce in the AM category. Those 3 cars covered by the proverbial blanket at the line, Cal.
That was fantastic. Wow, there's going to be a lot of emotion down there today.
Oh, boy. Calvert winning by 0.3 seconds over Milner, who was 0.6 clear of Stavely. It was that close, and on the last lap, Leah Fouge snuck into the 4th place in AM in the number 88 Stephen Cameron Racing machine.
Just got a report from the pits that Aurora Strauss was out, that left front damage with that contact there in turn 4, unfortunately.
Yeah. Ryan. Your winner into victory circle here at Portland International Raceway for the first time for young Harry Gottsacker. He steps out of the car and knows he will be going to the top of the box, and look at the emotion as it unfolds here. Congratulations to the crew, friends and family. This is an awfully special moment when you get that first win, Cal.
Mark Paven there giving congratulations as well. Team effort all the way around. Awesome job.
Yeah, and he was so close to this yesterday. Got schooled just a little bit and didn't let it get to him. And obviously, John Meraki working with him, coaching him, telling him about we got strategy, we're ready. He is a quick learner, and no question about it. Ryan Marine, he learned incredibly quickly today, bringing it home.
That's for sure. He just said that's what it feels like. So tell us, What does it feel like? You just brought home your first win.
A huge amount of weight lifted from my shoulders. I can't wait to get to Utah and do it again, man. I'm just looking forward to the next race. That was a really fun race. I'm so proud of my team. We put this car together from first practice. We were quick. It's just a great week and all in all.
You've been knocking on the door. You've had some close calls. Did you learn from those experiences, and did it pay off today?
Yes, definitely. Yesterday I made one mistake, and that was letting James by me. I didn't get the block quite on him, but didn't make that mistake today, and it paid off.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Yeah.
He's looking forward.
He
He wants to get to Utah in a hurry.
I love that. Now he's got the taste of it. He wants more. And we've seen that happen. You see somebody get their first win, and then the next couple come easily. Here we go, the GTS unofficial overall results. And what a drive by Tony Gaples. Held off Scott Maxwell in a great race for a while, ended up fourth, fended off Andy Pilgrim. That may be the drive of the season for Tony. Great job as well. And for Preston Calvert, that's 7th overall. First win in GTS competition in the M category, and a great battle as well. This is a fun race.
It was, and the points is going to tighten up a little bit. You see Welsh and Sofronis, they're finishing 6th, and their closest pursuers, Maxwell, Buford, and Pilgrim and Aschenbach, they finish ahead of them on the road, so it'll tighten things up just a little bit, but it's still a healthy lead.
Yeah, it is. Just some fun racing, no question about that. Let's get back down to Ryan Marine with a very elated first-time winner as well.
Preston Calvert, first GTS class win, and it was a dramatic one. Take us through the final lap and your emotions as you crossed the line.
Well, I had 2 cars ahead of me. The car between me and P1 was out of class, so had to wait and see if I could find an opportunity. And at turn 7, they both stayed a little wider than I usually do. So I just found the closest entry to turn 7 that I could make, and basically stuck it in. And no contact. It all worked out great. And they then started to fight with one another. So it actually gave me an opportunity to finish the lap on it. So it was really great.
Congratulations on the big win.
Thank you. I want to thank Panos Race Team. They put together an incredible car and supported me all year. I really appreciate it. Thank you.
Yeah, they have. I mean, it's a great program. Obviously, Tom Milner at the helm. But how about a little shout out for a guy named Stephen Pfeiffer, who is just amazing in getting those cars set up and dialed in. There's our GTS-M unofficial results, and there it is, Calvert, a winner. And over yesterday's round 7 winner, and Drew Stavely, who's been just on form all year. It's a big day. First-time winners in both classes?
Yeah, big day for the winners, and another great day for Stavely. He'll consolidate his championship lead. That was just a couple of points coming in over Aurora Strauss, who had that damage and unfortunately falls towards the back of the pack today.
And obviously, we also have some specialty awards to hand out, and one of those is our VP Racing Fuels Hard Charger Award, and it's a biggie. The number 55 of Buford Maxwell up 14 places from where they started to where they finished, and they get that award. And just an absolutely remarkable day for them. And, for this championship, the next round, we don't have a sprint race in between it, Cal. We go to Utah Motorsports Campus up at some 4,500 feet of elevation in Utah for another doubleheader Sprint X weekend. So the series throws another wrinkle in, elevation.
Yeah, elevation and, a very challenging racetrack. A lot more corners, much more longer laps. So strategy-wise, you got to get it right. Short lap here, and it made the Sprint X format a little bit easier to deal with there. Much longer lap, you got to get it right.
Absolutely, and a great crowd on here at the 58th annual running of the Rose Cup races. And that's going to wrap things up here for GTS Sprint X here at Portland International. For Calvin and for Ryan and our entire CBS Sports Network crew, I'm Greg Creamer in association with WC Vision. This has been a presentation of CBS Sports Network, the 24-hour home of CBS Sports.